We're going to begin today with a word wall using Jamboard on Google, which is one of the applications in your Google Drive. You can add stickies. You can change the color. You can have no color. This will be our word wall for genetics. You can also add pictures of things that you've done related to the genetics unit. And toss in a bone destroyer gene. And you can resize and also move these around. You can put a sticky note over the top. And then as many words as you can think of that are related to genetics, dominant, recessive. I encourage you to, you can also write them as well. If you make an error and you want to erase it, you can click on the eraser line. And if you, again, want to move something, it's just a matter of clicking and moving it where you'd like it to be. You can also add a background. And I would avoid using clear frame right now because that would clear everybody's work and everybody's working on it at the same time. If you run out of room, you can go to the top and add a new board. You can also add boards by topic. You can increase the size of the board and also decrease the size of the board. Good idea to read a little bit about what a geneticist does. This particular website in environmental science does a wonderful description of talking about the study of genes and traits, and specifically looking at the process of adaptation in the environment and gene expression. So it talks a little bit about what classes you would need to take, where people are being hired, and also the salaries they're making, as well as a little bit about the job description and so forth. There is quite a demand for geneticists. The next thing to do today is investigate the Zambia food crisis, and particularly genetically modified corn. There is a news clip for you to watch on Canvas Calendar about the current food crisis in Zambia and the causes of that. We're going to get a little bit of consideration for how to decide solutions to these problems. And it's not only deciding, but posing solutions as well. And the first step after listening to the newscast and reading a little bit, what are some of the questions you think might need to be asked by people who distribute seeds of corn for food and other types of seeds, of farmers, specifically thinking back to your trip to the farm and playing the farm game, and also consumers, what might need to go on the label? What are those questions to ask? And then you can draw a diagram. If that is actually occurring, how might it flow? What would be the outline of that conversation? Before reading about the food crisis in Zambia, you'll need to get some more background information about transgenic mutation. So when reviewing for the Zambia food crisis and trying to create solutions, use this graphic to review what you learned in the interactive and mark the appropriate boxes here, all that apply. Be sure to scroll down to review each of the questions. Actually, rather than marking all that apply, you're going to mark the one that matches the number. So what's happening at each of these stages. Then, best you can in the simplest vocabulary, and you might want to return to our word wall to grab some key topics and key words to communicate to a reporter. And remember, reporters are going to keep it short. So you want to also be short, but specific and detailed enough for the newspaper that someone who hasn't done the research you've done could still understand the concept. And then just ask yourself, would you eat genetically modified corn? Why or why not? And this just helps us getting ready for our decision-making process and writing at the end. Here's a review of the Zambia food crisis from the past. So the video that you watched from the news was currently, and this is back in 2002. And you can see it's been an ongoing problem that still needs a strong solution, not just in Zambia, but all over the world. Here, I'll ask that you use your information in the previous questions to write a short paragraph, about 250 words or less. Here's a quick review of two types of genetic variation. These are tools that farmers use and geneticists use. Oftentimes, selective breeding is used, where the best animals are crossed to get those prized traits. And then this is a lot of what our state fairs are about, where farmers can come and see the animals and the traits of the animals, and then they purchase those animals based on the quality of their characteristics. In genetic engineering, again, we're doing transgenic mutation, and we're giving those particular organisms an added trait. So you're taking traits from two species and crossing them. The final part of the Go Formative is about the corn muffin situation. And what I'd like you to do is look at the different ingredients that I've purchased to make corn muffins. And I was on my way to making corn muffins until I started learning about genetic modified corn. So best you can from these labels and any research you'd like to do, what concerns might the farmer, the seed producer, and me as a consumer have about the use of these different kinds of foods and eating foods, these particular foods. Use some facts to ask 6 questions here. So there's 6 different items. What questions should I be asking as a consumer of foods that could possibly be created either by selective breeding or by genetic modification? And then here, I'd like you to outline an argument for eating genetically modified corn. On one side, you will be in favor. And on the other side, you'll create the argument for not being in favor. And then use what you've learned from those 2 arguments to come to a final argument for your writing. This will prepare you for doing a Socratic seminar. And fingers crossed, we'll do that Socratic seminar with the 7th grade class from Mr. Atkins.